It was 1955. The communist regime in northern Vietnam was on the rise. This was cause for concern in America. The United States was afraid of the spread of communism to other countries in Asia. It was then they decided to intervene. By 1969, the U.S. had more than 500,000 U.S. personnel over in Vietnam. Throughout the war, the American people became divided over the U.S. intervening. More than 3 million people were killed during the war, and the majority of those were the Vietnamese civilians.
When I was in college, the Vietnam War had been going on for several years, and it was actually just part of the news all through my college life. And there wasn't one incident that said we're going to war. Vietnam War started with advisors in the early 60s, and so it was kind of like part of our lives as students, as kids, if you will, that we just heard this on the news, that something was going on in this place called Vietnam. So there wasn't a big announcement, the U.S. is going to war.
Many pilots had different experiences throughout their service in the Vietnam War. They experienced hardships and had to witness great tragedy, but today, veterans are proud to have served their country.
You know, the scenery was absolutely gorgeous until somebody shot at you, or you had to set it down, or you were over the jungle and you were going down into the jungle itself to rescue a pilot or air crew member that had bailed out of or ejected out of an airplane. I mean, that was certainly the scariest part. But, I mean, you were trained for it. And you knew you had to do it, and so all the fears just kind of went away, and you went about doing your job. And you did it the best you could. Some pilots we were able to rescue, and unfortunately some we were not able to get to before the enemy got to them. But if you look at the history books, you'll find out that that helicopter that I flew on with Air Rescue made more saves of pilots and air crew members in Vietnam than any other rescue helicopter.
All of us helicopter pilots had $50,000 on our head, and if we had been captured in the tri-border area, they would have stuck us on a tree, skinned us alive, and done some bad things to us. There was no captures, so you better hope you had a lot of friends with all the stuff going on. And then we have the call to go in and pick up the team. And this is my helicopter going in. And you can see a orange, the team is holding this. So we know where they are. We land there and pick them up. But most of the time, you know, we try to keep it quiet except for all the gunfire. Like when I went in, if there's gunfire coming at us, the guy up above with the gunship is pumping out a lot of brass, and it goes through your rotor blades, and it sounds like brass on a tin roof, you know, going through the rotor blades.
The war was becoming increasingly more opposed to back at home. This led to the gradual removal of troops starting in 1973. What a mistake this was, especially in the eyes of some of our veterans. The fall of Saigon happened in 1975, just 2 years after the removal of U.S. troops. Vietnam was under communist control by this time. Devastation ran fiercely through the hearts of those who fought long and hard for these people now in bondage.
It's that we put in so much time and effort and money to build up South Vietnam, and then we stopped bombing. I mean, we had the war won. All they had to do was do a little more carpet bombing up there of the B-52s. I mean, the guy, North Vietnamese guy, told Nixon, it's like, why did you stop? We were done. And and we had so many people demonstrating and whining and complaining at home, and in many cases, rightfully so. But you know, when you go to war, you better damn well be sure that's what you want to do, because there's a cost, and the cost in time, manpower, and money doesn't stop just because you stop pulling the trigger.
Dick Monroe was a Green Hornet working in special operations during his time in Vietnam. He served from 1963 to 1987 with 6 years in active duty. There were 1,728,344 draftees in the Vietnam War, but Monroe was not a part of that number. He volunteered.
The interesting thing about Vietnam is, if we had just let them have their way to begin with, they'd probably be better off today. However, the fear was that communism was going to sweep down that whole peninsula. And the problem is when you make a promise to a country or any country, you should keep it. And you should keep troops over there until fighting is done.
Through the eyes of these veterans, we have gained insight into the extreme pride in which they served our country and the hardships that they endured. We appreciate all the work that they have done, even with the struggles they have survived, which still affect their lives today. Time and time again, the pilots of the Vietnam War risked not only their lives, but the opportunity to see their loved ones again, all to protect the rights of those who could not fully do it themselves.